Hello beautiful, welcome back to Nat's Beautiful Life and day 6 of the 12 days of Christmas. If you are new to this channel, hello, my name is Natasha. I do videos on books, bullet journaling, beauty, media, whatever I feel like making a video about, because why not? I'm a little bit on the struggle bus this morning, but I'm making it. You there with the messy bun, you know what I'm talking about, right? But it's okay. We're still getting to it. Today, I thought I would share with you some books that are near and dear to my heart. Some of these are all-time favorites. Some of these are just books that I really enjoyed or opened my eyes to different genres and things like that. So I thought I would do a little video like this and just kind of break up some of the Christmas content a little bit. If you're new, again, welcome. Please subscribe, click the little notification bell if you like to see whenever everybody uploads their videos, and give this video a like. Alright, so let's get started. They're all over the place and they're all in random order. They're on a table right here. That's why I keep pointing and looking over here. But I'm just gonna grab them and tell you why they're important to me and why I enjoy them and why I hold them up so much. The first one I'm going to talk about is The Hunger Games by Susan Collins. This is one of the 10-year anniversary covers. This one I love because it just solidified my love of dystopian books. I love anything that is dystopian, and this is a book that I have read the series. I have read, reread, I've done physical books, audiobooks, I have the movies, all of that, and it's just kind of like my, I would say my comfort blanket movie and books, and I just really enjoy these. And this was a series that for the first time I actually watched the movie, the first movie, and then I went and read the books. And this is a series I absolutely binged and fell in love with and love the characters and everything about it. So definitely have to shout out and give much props to The Hunger Games for being a big part of why I love reading so much. Another one is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This one is the book that opened my eyes to fantasy. Before this, I read a lot of sci-fi, a lot of dystopian, a lot of supernatural fiction in earlier years, and also like historical fiction, things like that. But I didn't really read a lot of fantasy or any fantasy. Again, my big genre was sci-fi and dystopian and things like that. This right here opened up my eyes a little bit to fantasy because it is a fae fantasy, and this is probably one of the easiest of hers to read. I've read some of her other works since then, and they're a lot darker than this one, even though this one is not always a ray of sunshine. But I really am thankful that I picked this book up. I love this world. I love these characters again, and it really just kind of opened my eyes to a whole new genre of books that I really do enjoy. This one here, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This is probably one of the first chapter type books that I read as a kid. And then I realize now, growing, being grown and reading this book, I've read it over and over again, even as an adult. I don't eat animals. And that's basically how this book starts out. She realizes that there's a little pig that's going to go be slaughtered because something's wrong with him, and so our main character Fern tries to stop him, or her dad or uncle or whoever is doing it. I don't even remember. But of course, that pig winds up being our infamous Wilbur, and this is just a sweet book of friendship and love. And if you cannot read this book because there's a spider in it, get over it. Just get over it, because it's such a heartwarming, loving book. And this right here, because as a child I read this and finished it, even though, it's nothing for an adult to read. Like, we could read this in a day, but a child reading this, it ignited me to want to pick up other books and read those as well. Another one, this is the only one that I'm pulling out 2 of the books. Everything else, if it's a series, I've grabbed just like the first book. But I'm gonna go with Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom here. when I picked these up, and I actually read these before The Shadow and Bone, and the voice and the writing of these two is so much different than Shadow and Bone, because it's a totally different, it's the same universe, but it's a different world, so to speak. I loved Six of Crows. This one you do have to get into it a little bit because it's setting up where you are. This one is my jam. This is my favorite, one of my favorites of all time, because as soon as you open the book and start reading, you are off. The action is going, it's moving, and that is my jam. And it has been a long time since I read a book that I just couldn't put down, or I thought about all the time, that I really wanted to be immersed in the world. And so Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom will always have a big place in my heart. The next one is kind of strange because it's a textbook. This is the Norton Anthology of American Literature, 6th edition, but I wanted to bring up these because I was a literature major and I was really into British literature and things like that when I started my college career. But these books here, this class here, kind of solidified my love for American literature. So during this time frame, I think this is between the wars, so 1914 to 1945, this would be the stuff like Dorothy Parker and F. Scott Fitzgerald and things like that. And I also really love Elizabethan and Victorian writing, British and American. But reading these things really just kind of opened my eyes to a whole other world of American literature, and got my Shakespearean and other British literature snobbery out of me, because I really do love American literature and classics now. So I'm always going to be thankful to that class for showing those things to me. The next one is The 13th Tale by Diane Sutterfield. This book is just, again, it's a woman telling a story to someone about her life. And it's a creep fest, but it's also, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so entertaining, so immersive, so atmospheric, and you almost feel like you're the person in the seat that she's telling the story to. And I love books like this, and this one has been probably the one that I've talked about the most. It is a favorite of mine. This is an absolute all-time favorite of mine, and I have raved about it so much, and it's definitely a surprise book. So this is a book that I just kind of had been seeing around, and the synopsis looked good. I think I got it off Thrift Books. Yeah, there's the little dot on there. I got it off Book Outlet. Yeah, I got it off Book Outlet whenever it showed up for cheap, and I thought, why not? And such a good book. And this is a book that I have another book that I got from Book Outlet once, and it just showed me, go ahead and get it. If it doesn't cost that much money or whatever, the cover buy is worth it. Sometimes books surprise you, and this turned out to be one of my favorites. So never be afraid to pick up a book you're not quite sure about if it just keeps showing up on your radar. All right, so the next one, I know a year or two ago I talked about this nonstop, so I'm just going to mention The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. This right here is another one that made me sit and realize, oh, wait a minute, every time I read these historical fiction books, they stick with me. They really entertain me, but also I learn things, and also I really enjoy these stories. These kind of like affect me, and so this is the one that solidified for me and opened my eyes that, hey girl, you really like historical fiction. So I will always talk about this one. This is a book about the Spanish Civil War, and actually the things that happened kind of after it, when Spain opened back up to Americans and things like that, and the different worlds in Spain because of that. So very good. Highly recommend. You knew it was going to show up somewhere. Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I actually have only read this a couple years ago. I read it for the first time. I've read it again since then. I love this book so much. I can so relate to Anne, and this is just the sweetest book. Like, I love it. I love Prince Edward Island. I want to go there one day. I love everything about this book. I love her father figure, which is the brother of there was a brother and sister that actually adopted Anne, and they meant to get a boy, but she was a girl. And I love the relationship between her and Matthew, and the sister. It's just a good book, and her and her best friend Diane, and just the way that she sees things and just imagines things. I love this book so much, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I love it. So that is one of my favorite books of all time. And again, I'm one of those people who was very late to the station on this one, because it was only a few years ago that I read it for the first time. Okay. The next book, ignore the cover because it's the movie tie-in cover. It's the only thing I could find when I wanted to buy it, is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. The rest of the books look like this. They have like their own little photographic cover, and it's very unique story. So it's a 6-book series. There is a little novella in there that's kind of like a storybook, and it's so unique in the fact that Ransom Riggs uses old photographs within the book, and he makes them a part of the story. And also we follow a group of peculiar children. Some of them are much older than what they look like, but they still are children because they haven't like matured very much. They've been stuck in these loops and things like that. And Jacob finds them. He's been told these stories by his grandfather growing up, but everybody thought his grandfather was nuts. He didn't really believe the stories either, until one day he winds up accidentally walking into a loop himself and realizing that he too is a peculiar child, and things ensue. So really do enjoy this series. I've enjoyed the friendships between them, and it's so funny how like the books take place over the time frame of maybe a year, if that, a month. It's a very short time, but there's so much that goes on and so much traveling that they do and all of this stuff. But I really have just enjoyed the series. It has wrapped up this year, but if you are interested in something that is fantastical but also has a little bit of just a creep factor to it, because they're going into these creepy areas sometimes, because not everybody who is peculiar can walk amongst us and hide. You know, some might look like there's something different about them. Some of them might have, I don't know, a tail or something like that. I don't know. And some of them are dogs and cats that are peculiar animals that can speak and things like that. So it's a very interesting story, and it's just a whimsical wild time, and I really enjoyed that. 2 more. The next one is Octavia Butler's Kindred. This book is just one of the best things I've ever read in my life. This was written in 1979, and Octavia Butler is known for being not only one of the first African Americans in sci-fi, but the first women in sci-fi that, you know, gained traction and gained momentum and a name for herself. And it has just kind of had a resurgence in the past several years. And this book is, I think, probably her best known. It's just remarkable. So she is an African-American woman married to a white man in the 70s, and ever so often this small white child thinks he's about to die or something, and she gets drawn through time into the antebellum South, which is the pre-Civil War South, and she saves his life. And then when she's in danger, then she goes back home to the present day. And this happens every so often as this child grows up. Anytime he thinks he's in danger or gonna die, she gets pulled to his time and then saves his life, and then she's stuck there basically until she's in danger again. And it's just, number one, it's a wild ride. Number two, It is just a picture of slavery that is not at all spoken around. It is not, there's no punches pulled. It's dark, it's there, and it's just phenomenal. So if you have never read this book, please pick it up. It's amazing. And yeah, just pick it up. The last book I'm going to talk about is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. This is a bind-up of all 6 books, plus some commentary, blah, blah, blah. This book was given to me by my drummer. I used to be in a band, and I mentioned that the number 42 had followed me my whole life, and he said, have you ever read this book? Because the meaning of life in this book is 42. And I said no. He gave me this book, and oh my word, this was the first time that I read a book and I was like, somebody thinks like me. What I mean by that is he will be just like jabbering on, blah, 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 and then there'll be like an asterisk, and you go down, and then he explains a little bit more, and then he goes back, and it's just like, there's so many thoughts it's at one time, and they're all just like running out of his mouth, and I'm just like, oh my word, this is how I think. This is how I think. It just keeps going, and it doesn't stop, and it just moves on to something else, and then we gotta explain this, and then oh yeah, and this book, if you have ADHD, read this book. This man is like us. So yeah, we've got, of course, our main character. We've got our main character, Arthur, whose house is about to be destroyed, and it's a problem, and he's like trying to stop them, and then his best friend comes up and is like, look, we got bigger problems than that. You know, the world is about to be destroyed because of this, that, or the other, and they take off on adventures throughout the galaxy. And if you have not read this and you like sci-fi, do it. It's also very funny. It's comedy. It's not meant to be taken too seriously, which is the best part of it, because it's a good time. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if there are any books that you find near and dear to your heart. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I forgot one. I don't own it, that's why I forgot it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. It is called A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. This book will just, it's YA, but you can read it even if you're not YA. You'll be fine because it's not very YA-ish. So we have a girl who has a traumatic event happen, and she gets triggered to remember that traumatic event, and so she just starts running. And she's already been on the track team and stuff like that, so she is a runner. But she starts running. She lives in Seattle, and so she decides she wants to run from Seattle to Washington, D.C. And her grandfather is like, sure, let's do it. So he's got a Winnebago, and he's basically following her as she runs across the country. And her brother and her friends and all of that are so supportive and just precious, and yeah, it's just a good book, a good feel-good book. And I love anything where people are just like, can't, you know, like, I can't function right now. The only thing I know to do, the only thing that makes sense to me is to run. So we're just gonna run. It's also running to bring some attention to some issues that yeah, have caused her PTSD. But anyway, so good, so heartwarming, and I love that book so much. And yeah, I need my own copy. Like, I need to get on that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you again very soon right here on Nat's Beautiful Life. Have a great day, gorgeous.